Well, welcome to Last Minute Levers, your final prep before we enter into what is arguably the most wonderful time of the year for sellers and merchants and brand owners. We got Q4, we got peak holiday, we got BFCM coming up right around the corner. And so we wanted to take this time to do something kind of unique. And it's going to be a bit of a unique event. I'll kind of lay the stage here momentarily, but we want to get you ready and give you some final strategies, tactics, levers to pull so that you can make this a smashing success. And so this is not going to be your typical webinar. I love learning. I love attending webinars. Sometimes they're kind of like death by PowerPoint or Google Slides or Gamma or whatever the latest flavor is. We'll certainly have some visuals. We'll have some presentations to show you, but I wanted this to be more of a conversation with experts so that you can get some raw feedback and ideas. And I think this will be fun, and I think the pace will be enjoyable. And so I'm really just your host today. I'm just the guy behind the microphone, keeping everything moving, making sure we're on track, and really pulling out some great insights from our guests. And so I do want to introduce our guests, because do we have a lineup for you? So first off, we've got Luba. She's part of Team OMG. She's our senior ABM, or Amazon Brand Management strategist. And Luba is one of those people that I don't know anybody that knows the insides of baseball for Amazon like Luba. She comes from running a hardware store, just learned this the other day, running a hardware store on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, to becoming an Amazon pro. And she actually ran Amazon for a client of ours years ago, and then someone that I became a real friend with the owner. And Luba and her team grew that brand, a pretty big brand, from about $3 million a year on Amazon, nothing to sneeze at, to just shy of $17 million a year on Amazon. She's grown other brands. She's a trusted coach and advisor. She's kind of running our team here at OMG. And so can't wait for you to hear from Luba. She's fiery. She's got insights. You're going to love her as soon as you hear from her. So we'll hear from Luba momentarily. But welcome to the program, Luba. And scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to be presenting on the webinar?
I actually love being on webinars. So I would even say it's 11.
Oh, we're dialing this one up to 11 for all you Spinal Tap fans out there. Next up, we got Jonathan Finkus. I had to look this up, Jonathan. You've been with OMG for 7 years, man. That is, in internet years, that is a long, long time. And so super glad that you're part of the team. Jonathan is an ad pro. The dude remembers numbers like nobody's business. He's very strategic. He's logical. He understands how brand building works and how Amazon advertising works. And so, Jonathan, with that, man, welcome to the webinar. Welcome to the show, so to speak. Thanks for coming on. And same question for you. Scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you?
More of a realist, so I'm going to give it a 7. A strong 7.
If I was actually, I had those like hedging bets in my mind, right? Placing bets, and I knew you were going to come in under. So I love that. I think that's a good ad strategist who's really watching the numbers and bidding and looking at probabilistic outcomes. Got to take the realistic approach, right? It's a 7. Yeah, and I think that's spot on. So love that. Love having both of you on the program. So you're gonna hear a ton from Jonathan and Lube as we go here. But the real star of the show, like the real guest of the show here, is our friend and client, Connor Crook from Diamondback Tools. What's up, Connor? How's it going today?
Things are good. I've been down in the warehouse sewing stuff all morning.
Have you been making tool belts today?
Not tool belts. We're looking at some brand expansion, and okay. I'm just sitting down at the machine, playing around with some concepts and seeing what might come out in the future.
You're playing your best Christmas elf here. Like, hey, let's not just talk about products. Let's not talk about growth. Let's go make some stuff. You're gonna get to hear from Connor, one of the longtime OMG clients, friend. We're really seeing tremendous growth, amazing product, Diamondback Tools, and so we'll get to see kind of how Amazon fits into their overall growth strategy, what their promotional strategy is going to be like for Q4, and then kind of some challenges and some wins from this year. And really, that's going to be the flow of this webinar. I think it's important to take just a couple of minutes. We won't spend long here, but let's talk strategically. How should Amazon fit into your overall brand growth? Before we get into a season like this and start discounting and start going nuts trying to close sales and whatnot, I think it's important to back up and say, why are we doing what we're doing? How does Amazon fit into the grander scheme of things? Because ultimately, I should be trying to build a business and trying to build a brand, not just trying to sell stuff on Amazon. So we're going to back up. I really love Connor's perspective here. So we'll do that very briefly. And then we're going to get into some challenges and some wins from this year. What has changed and what's different? And so how that's going to shape our Q4 plan. And then we'll get into last minute levers, promotional strategy, lots of good stuff for you to take away and make this one of the best holidays yet. So let's start with strategy. So Connor, I want to hear from you. How does Amazon fit into your overall brand strategy? And how has that evolved over recent years? Because again, as we get into this situation where we may be tempted to like slash our profits to close more deals in Q4, we step back and think about the overall strategy. So how has that evolved for Diamondback Tools?
Yeah, Brett, thanks. So I bought Diamondback back in 2016. At the very end of 2016, got going the next year. And our strategy was all about our website, toolbelts.com. We eventually added some dealers. We weren't really able to get into the dealers in the US, but we had some success internationally. And I was really hesitant about Amazon, just horror stories that I've heard about them copying your product, knocking off your product, you lose control of it. And after a few years, I think it was 21 or so, we had an employee at the time, sales lead, who said, "Hey, I've got some experience with Amazon. I can set it up. We'll see how it goes." Well, you know how to do it. Let's do it. It was also good timing because that was post-COVID when the D2C market was slowing down, and it was a good time to really branch out into some different channels. So once we got in there, what we've found is Amazon provides a couple of different really key features for us. One, it's a different sales stream. It's a different customer. I think Luba has some information she'll share about globally the overlap or lack of overlap with Amazon, but we've definitely seen from what information we can get from Amazon that it's a different customer. We have some really interesting anecdotes about how you can get a customer on Diamondback that becomes your online customer and vice versa. Some of the different just shopping habits. Another great thing that it's done for us is help smooth cash flow issues. Amazon, D2C, wholesale, they all have different ebbs and flows. Obviously, right now, stores or wholesalers are stocking up for the holidays, but customers are cooling it down because they know Black Friday's coming. So we know that we're going to have a spike in both Shopify and Amazon as you go into the holiday, but then they kind of ebb and flow a little bit differently. So just understanding how Amazon can smooth cash flow, how it can bring in new customers, and how it's just an expansion to have one more stream. And it's talking about costs and stuff. I look at it this way: Amazon, wholesale, and D2C, they're all going to cost you 30 to 40 points.
It's such a good point. It's such a good point. Yeah, you really can't avoid it.
Yeah, you're going to pay margin to a dealer.
Yep.
Okay, the dealer's doing certain things for you. They're selling for you. Amazon that's a place where you can market. It's a place where they're going to sell for you. They're going to do part of your warehousing for you, and they're going to open you up to new eyes. So you're going to pay for that. D2C, I spend a tremendous amount, much of it with OMG, on advertising on Facebook, on Meta and Google. So either way, you're paying.
Yeah. Man, it's such a good point. Yeah, you're going to lose 30 or 40 points. It's going to vary a little bit by your category, but you're going to be giving up that margin, and just where it's going does vary a little bit from channel to channel. And I love this chance to kind of step back and just look at this holistically. I'll use a couple of examples here. Originally Boom by Cindy Joseph, now Boom Beauty, longtime client. of OMG. We worked with them for years and years on the Google and YouTube side, and then we helped them launch on Amazon. And they went from 0 to like $6 million the first year, and very little cannibalization of their core business. And it's because there was a lot of pent up demand. There was a lot of people that have been seeing the Boom by Cindy Joseph ads, and they love the message and they love the angle, but they just weren't buying because Boom wasn't on Amazon. They launch on Amazon, things take off. Obviously, we did a lot of work on the ad side and the organic optimization side and stuff like that. Then you look at like native deodorant. We were working with Moise, the founder, from kind of the early days, and went through the acquisition and grew them, with P&G for years. I think they did $1 billion last year, Moise tweeted. But one of the things he said about Amazon was like, I just wish I'd gotten there sooner. Like, that was the main thing. I wish I'd gotten there sooner. But I think what we're potentially tempted to do, and I teased this a little bit at the outset, is we're tempted to say, we're on Amazon. It's Q4. It's about to be Cyber 5 or Cyber 12 or Cyber whatever it's going to be this year. Gotta do well. So I'm just going to start giving away all my margin and then you end up making mistakes. And so seeing how this fits, this is a great place to close new business, a great way to attract new customers. To your point, Connor, sometimes you meet people and you will get customers you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. And so that's really what this is all about. I want to talk briefly about, and actually we can dig in as much as we see fit here as we go here, but what are some of the things that have shifted? So I'll start with you, Connor, and then I want to go deep with Luba and Jonathan. What's shifted this year? What's changed on Amazon? Because there's been a lot, and then how that's going to influence us in Q4. So what are some of the changes you've kind of endured here in 2025 so far, Connor?
Well, the big story in e-commerce and commerce in general this year is obviously the tariffs. The tariff situation has been really huge here at Diamondback and interesting on a lot of different levels because we were a made in USA product for the first 5-6 years I ran the business. That just became untenable and for a lot of reasons. And we moved our production to Vietnam. That was a huge move that we did. And as about the time we got all of our product moved to Vietnam, we had the announcement of Liberation Day and we were being liberated from, I don't know what.
Liberated from your profits.
Exactly. So it quickly became our strategy around Liberation Day and the tariffs was, hey, we're selling a lot of our product internationally. We need to lean into that. And we need to figure out a way to get our product to various places around the world without coming to Charlottesville, Virginia along the way. And so we're working with that a lot with wholesale, but it's also a part of our Amazon strategy. We had always fulfilled orders into Canada from here, FBM from here in Charlottesville or FBA through American Warehousing. So we are moving a lot of our Amazon strategy around Australia and Canada. We're leaning in heavier there. We're starting to put in advertising in Canada. We haven't started advertising in Australia yet, but we're seeing solid organic growth there. And so it's all about moving the product and getting it to those locations without coming here to avoid the tariffs. So international expansion has been really big for us. Another thing that came with the shift in manufacturing was SKU changes. Internally, we made the decision that this product is a DB500 or whatever it is. When it's made in Asia, it becomes a DB500A for Asia. Well, then you lose a lot of traction with the algorithm. So working on strategies to avoid losing the traction that we've grown around certain products has been a big part of our growth this year. We also, because when we moved to Asia, we divided between our best product and our old product, which is now sort of our better level, best product. And so there's been a lot of discussion around channel strategy as to what goes on Amazon, what goes on toolbelts.com, what goes to dealers, and how do we emphasize different products. And, the biggest part of our Amazon strategy this year has just really been the growth. D2C-wise, September was pretty far off of the pace of where we hoped to be, but we made up for it on Amazon. And the interesting thing is it's not cannibalization, because we're seeing most of the growth on Amazon, or a lot of it is in Australia and Canada as we've moved more there, put more of our product available on Amazon. So our Amazon strategy has been avoiding tariffs and leaning into international, dealing with updated SKUs and trying not to lose traction, and then trying to figure out how to make Amazon really a thoughtful part of our omni-channel approach, so that it's growing without cannibalizing the other channels.
Man, such good insights there. A lot we can unpack. I love that, thinking about which products are going to be on Amazon, which are going to be strictly D2C or other channels. And yeah, tariff mitigation and international expansion, all of those are opportunities that Amazon unlocks for us. And so we'll get back to some of that more as we go here. I'm going to kick things over to you, Luba, for right now. And I want to hear from you, like, what are some of the things that have really shifted this year? And what's changed that has materially changed the game on Amazon? You've been doing this for 11 years. You've seen everything under the sun as it pertains to Amazon. So fire away, and feel free to share your screen too if you want to share that presentation, if that's useful.
So first of all, kind of great success on Amazon, and most importantly, I think you have the winning perspective on how Amazon fits into your ecosystem. Because too many people are afraid of Amazon. And I've always said that if you're not in control of your product's distribution on Amazon, somebody else will. We see it all the time where a brand's products end up on Amazon, sold by third-party resellers, and you have no control over content, over pricing, over quality. And we always advise brands who may not even be interested in it, at least take control of your own product that is being distributed there. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be the case. And just to elaborate on the whole cannibalization thing, we've actually, in the good old days when you could match Amazon scrambled email to the actual customer information, you can't do that anymore. Not at the scale. But we ran, with one of the brands I worked with, we ran their Amazon customers versus their direct-to-consumer customers. There was about 10-15% overlap.
It's crazy.
You would think it would be so much bigger. But in reality, people shop where people want to shop. I can see 20 Facebook ads for a beauty product. I will not buy it through Facebook. I will not. I will go and I will look on Amazon. Is it available there? That will be my first resource. So, but what dramatically changed on Amazon this year is matching product to customer intent. That is the biggest change that took place. You can't any longer spend your way into sale. Because if your product is not optimized to the point where it's matching the consumer purchasing intent, your ads are simply not going to show. So you have to be very thoughtful about who your customer is, what your brand is, and what is your value proposition. So we're going to be giving away some of the templates and I know everybody uses tools. We all have tools. Sometimes we have way too many tools. But these are quick templates that you can use, and I'll just walk over them. And we'll email the links to anybody who is interested. So,
yeah, we'll make sure everybody gets it. We'll email it out to the whole list.
So the first template that I put together that I like to use is sort of estimating if you should even be running the deal. So you just plug in with the referral fee, that's standard 15%. So let's say on average you pay $5 in fulfillment fees. That's your 20% is your goal tacos. And let's say you're going to run a best deal. Best deal for either be next week or for Black Friday or Monday is going to cost you $1,000 per deal. So this calculator helps you calculate if your regular price is $15 and you're giving 10% discount and you sell 6,000 units with 20% advertising cost. Will you make money in the end or not? And you just plug in numbers and see where you want to be in terms of advertising, how many units you need to sell, how much margin you can give away to come out where you want to come out financially. So that's a useful little template. Peak event budget pacing. What you plan to spend, what you actually spend, paid revenue, total revenue. Are you where you want to be in tacos? If not, then you may need to dial down your advertising expense. You may want to look into why you're pacing so hot. And finally, inventory. Do you have enough on hand inbound to FBA at AWD? How are you selling through? Should you pull back your ads or maybe pause deep promotions? This is something that I usually recommend running during the large high velocity events, literally to have 15-minute touch bases pre-event and during the event, just to see where you are, because things can get out of hand.
Love it. Those resources are amazing, Luba. So we'll email that out to everybody. Feel free to use those, share those. I think now's a good time actually to mention our sponsors. And you alluded to this, Luba, that everybody is using tools, right? And I think the most sophisticated, the fastest growing brands are using tools. Makes life easier and better. But sometimes you just need to get down and dirty with a spreadsheet, right? And I do that all the time. Like we use HubSpot and other tools for sales. I love them. But sometimes I just want to put stuff in a spreadsheet because I want to manipulate and play around with it and think big picture. And so I do want to highlight our sponsors before we hear from Jonathan on what's changed, some wins and challenges from 2025. But Amazon Prep, AMZ Prep, KPOC, Hello Tax, Seller Candy, Levanta, 3 Colts. Check them all out. They've got special offers. They're all valuable in their own right. And so check out our sponsors. Jonathan, from your perspective, challenges, wins, and what's shifted in 2025 so far from the ads side of things?
Yeah. So I think everybody knows that the landscape in Amazon is always getting more competitive. And obviously 2025 is no different from the past couple of years in that sense, but it is different in the way that it's getting more competitive. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot more, at least the bucket of brands which on Amazon. I think OMG work with about 30-ish brands on Amazon, but we've all pretty much across the board been seeing more and more intensity from either copycat sellers or knockoffs, or even more that are like more sellers popping up that are trying to say that they're like your product, or like making like just kind of like swiping your images and whatnot. But just that's sort of always been around. It's been a lot hot, like more intense over the last couple of years. But of course the tariff play, and just kind of piggybacking off of what Luba was saying about, using, really scrutinizing, will this promo actually be profitable at the end of the day? Is like, to tie into that is really brands have had to really hone in on what are your numbers. Cause we've worked with many brands that were just on Amazon, and they just kind of, they had their product that they were slinging on Amazon for the last few years. And they never really like, hey, what's margins? What's your goal? Like, and they would come to us and they say, what should our ACOS be? What is tacos? I've never heard of that. And not a business owner myself, but I like to think that if I were, I would have that nailed down. But just as it's getting more and more competitive, we're seeing higher CPCs. The tariffs are obviously eating the margins. That number is really important. And that's also really important for the ad side of things to know that, if that number is being determined by your agency, or you're trying to figure out, what is that performance target we need to be hitting, it's really critical to have everything else in a row, so that we can be at that 15% or 20% or 30% ACOS, or whatever that tacos number is. Just making sure that you are being, obviously profitable at the end of the day, but then, as aggressive as you can be. Another big shift in the Amazon ecosphere, which also is like, if you're going to events or whatever and hearing promotions from Amazon, they're always talking about like their new features that they're rolling out. And it's sort of been a data overload. And it's really been rolling out for like the last 2 years, but like with all the brand analytics and the customer journey analytics and the search query analytics, and then the Amazon Marketing Cloud and all the insights you can get from that, there's just so much that you could really dive into it, especially like the Amazon Marketing Cloud and all the different audience segmentation that you can go into there. You could go in there and like be absorbing so much data you could probably absorb that data for 2 months and not really come out of it with an actionable, like, hey, I'm making more success over here, because there's just so much data and so much to look at. There are some really good nuggets. And I think that the customer journey analytics is a great insight, so you can dig into your audience trends. And then Amazon's also giving you like, hey, your awareness is decreasing month on month, and here's some tips for growing your awareness, whether that's expanding sponsored brand ads, sponsored display, or running promos to certain subsets of your audience groups. And we do use that very frequently. But then, the software providers, like we use Kpox, one that we use a lot for just like really great reporting. And they can pull all of that kind of together, and then we can have more cohesive like narrative. So like the software is doing the work of like analyzing all this data into group sets that we want to be looking at to then optimize our PPC around that. The Amazon Marketing Cloud.
One thing I want to kind of talk, let's just key in on something really quickly, Jonathan. So with we've realized that our problem was never necessarily more data, because now we have lots and lots of data. We're swimming in the data, right? And if you're not careful, you just at the end of the day, you end up and you're like, well, I looked at a lot of numbers today, like an unbelievable amount of numbers. I don't know what to do, right? So the only way this is beneficial if we say, okay, this is what this means, and this is what I'm going to do next. And so you just talked about something interesting where if awareness or impressions are going down on a specific item, you're maybe looking at, okay, how do I reverse that trend, right? And so can we kind of unpack a few of those, or just highlight a few? I know I kind of cut you off midstream, but like, what are a few of those? Like, okay, these are the important data points that you could be finding, and then what do we do with those?
Yeah, so especially on the topic of, as we're getting into Q4, we've always got the promos, the big deal event next week, and then of course Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So the customer journey analytics, as I touched on, you can look into that and see your different audience pools of shoppers that are in awareness, shoppers in consideration, intent, purchase. And so sponsored brand ads, sponsored display are the ones that ad types that we can use to really grow the awareness and consideration. So shoppers who are, seeing the brand, becoming aware of the brand, maybe even engaging, coming to the listing page. And those are kind of critical initiatives in the lead up to a promotional event, is just getting awareness out there. If people don't know your brand, then of course they're not going to be searching for your brand, at least not as often. And so then like to building that awareness pool is hypercritical. And then you can also use those pools to then retarget both during the event to say, hey, you looked at my product. So I'm using a display ad to retarget people who looked at my product in the last 7 days. Because I know you've been kind of window shopping in the lead up to this event, and now I'm remarketing my product to you while the promo is running. And then also post an event, and you can again remarket to those same pools. If you have a consumable, remarket to those who purchased at the repurchase rate range. And then also in the search query analytics, this is a very insightful topic, the data point that's going to say for your whole subcategory, Amazon sees, we're selling tool belts. Amazon sees there's 5,000 purchases in the last month for tool belts, and your brand only got 1%. Okay, this is mission critical because this is the core of our product.
I've got a lot of upside, a lot of room to grow and expand.
Right, a lot of room to grow, and then you can obviously you can kind of see the fruit of your effort in that we're working on the SEO to make sure that we're organically ranking and indexing for tool belts, and then we're working on the ad side of things to make sure that we're showing up for tool belts, and then week over week, month over month, we can see, okay, our share is increasing here. We are gaining this relevancy. And so, just really knowing not all of this data is going to be actionable, but using the data to steer some of your actions, and using it to assist you and not getting too lost in the weeds, because it can drive you a little crazy.
It's easy to do. One of the best analogies I ever heard was that of a pilot. And if you ever have looked in the cockpit when you're boarding a plane or something, you're like, there's an unbelievable amount of dials and displays and knobs and buttons and stuff like that. Really, pilots mostly use about 6 of those to fly the plane, right? Everything else is just if something goes wrong, they can diagnose and fix things and whatnot. And so that's really the way you're going to be too, running your Amazon business or hiring an agency or an in-house team, is they're going to run the business based on 5 or 6 data points, but they'll have everything else to kind of diagnose if something goes wrong. I love that, the lead up, the main event, the aftermath, Jonathan, where the lead up, we're looking at, hey, how do we grow awareness and kind of fill the funnel so that then during the main event we can close as many people as possible, and then afterwards, how do we remarket to people and close those that maybe didn't close, or close people that maybe got money over the holidays but haven't bought anything, and now they're gonna buy from you. And so lots of good stuff there. Luba, did you want to chime in on that?
On the data, the number one data point that I always look at, and I'm coming from a brand perspective. So number one data point that I've always had to report on was profit margin in terms of dollar and percentage. So if the profit margin in terms of dollar and percentage was at or above the level that I needed, that was literally the only data point that I needed to look at. Now, if the profit margin was not where I wanted to be, if it was below in terms of dollars or percentage, then you start looking into which of my products is not making me money. And then you start dialing in, why is that product is not making me money? Very often you discover that the reason is because it's sitting mostly on paid traffic versus organic. If that's the case, you dial back down and you say, okay, great. Why is it on paid traffic? Is it not getting click-through rate? Is the conversion rate? Is the number of sessions? So I always like to work back from the profit margin, looking to what's not working and answering questions. What can I change? Which lever can I pull to improve it?
Love it. Love it. Let's roll right into the next topic with you, Luba, and feel free to share some of the visuals on this. But as we look at our last minute levers for holiday 2025, what are some of those? And, so after you share, we're going to talk to Connor about his promotional strategy, and then we'll kind of wrap up with Jonathan on the ad side. But I know, part of this could be we're looking at deals. We're not going to do deals because we want to protect margin, but roll through some last minute levers here for us, Luba.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, before we get into levers, I just want to reinforce the idea is that you cannot sell stuff that you don't have. And I've seen brands lose Q4 because they didn't ship stuff in time. And always be proactively planning. And if you can, and Connor, I think you're doing it, if you can have fulfilled by merchant backup to your fulfilled by Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about paths, deal track or no deal track. I'm not going to lie. Naturally, it's much easier to have successful Q4 if you plan on running deals. But even if you don't plan on running deals, there is still a no deal track, which is where you focus on video ads, on optimization of your product detail page, setting up specific store pages, and retargeting. That's where your SAEO, which is agentic search optimization. We're all optimizing for AI these days and for Amazon agents, ChatGPT agents. You want AI agents to pick up your product as the most relevant to consumer query. So video assets, optimization, store curation, and use of advertising is going to help you if you're not going to run deals. What are the last minute levers you can pull? I'm just going to scroll through some of this. What are the last minute levers you can pull right now? Because we are really in the final stretch of getting everything done and ready. The number one thing I recommend, test new main image. Have several versions of a main image. Test it through. There are multiple services that help you with that. Pick a few, Product Opinion. There may be more. If you have your own user group, A/B test on Amazon. Test as many new images as you can right now. That may possibly dramatically improve your click-through rate, regardless of you running deals or not. Set up sponsored brand video campaigns. Believe it or not, if you don't have high production assets for a video, using Amazon Video Builder actually works. Those videos that you make using Amazon templates, they perform rather well. Build an Amazon gift guide page. Even if you may think you're selling the most ungiftable products, but I worked with a showerhead brand, which had a huge spike in Q4. People were giving each other showerheads for Christmas. You just never know with people.
Yeah, quick note on that, Luba. We got a longtime client. They sell mops and microfiber products. Shout out Brett Haney. But a long time ago, they ran an email that was like the worst Christmas gift ever. And it was a mop. And they're like, don't give her a mop, or don't give him a mop, or whoever. And it actually ended up being a tremendous seller for them. And so they're like, oh, sweet, we'll just lean into this. Like, worst gift ever. Here you go. It's like you could have a holiday guide and even poke fun at your own product, but people are going to buy. People are going to buy in Q4.
People are going to buy in Q4. Build an Amazon gift guide page. Have sponsored brand ads targeting that page specifically. Jonathan already mentioned retarget recent product visitors. Set FBM backup. You just don't know what's going to happen with your inventory in Q4. Always have a backup. It's not going to be as effective as having FBA offer, but at least you're not going to go completely dark. Depending on your business model, if you have SMS and email list, this is what we found. And Brett, I think Nick actually has some studies on this, where the email included 2 call to actions, one buy on website, one buy on Amazon.
Yep.
And they've actually seen really well response to buy on Amazon.
Yep. It's a great strategy where if you've got an email list, and I hope you do, especially if you're multi-channel and omni-channel, test with some of those, including that buy on Amazon button. A lot of people would rather do that anyway, so test it.
Amazon has stats which say that buy on Amazon, buy with Prime button on your website actually improves conversion by 25%. That could be very meaningful, 25%. So whether you're all about aggressive deals or leaning more into optimization and PPC, what I call the no-deal track, all of these 7 levers you can pull right now and have meaningful impact on your Q4 sales. I do have one disclaimer. Do not make any major changes to your product detail page 72 hours prior to high velocity event.
And why is that, Luba? 100% agree, but make it clear why you don't want to do that.
You are confusing the guts of Amazon. There is an algorithm. You make change to the backend or to the copy, and the algorithm now needs time to figure out how you're relevant to customer inquiries. So if you're going to do major updates, either do them at least 72 hours prior to major event, or wait till next week's big Prime deal days are going to be over, and then make all of your changes in time for the algorithm to index them prior to Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
Totally makes sense. Awesome. So let's do this, Connor, and I believe you're muted, but talk through your promotional strategy for this year, and how has your promotional strategy changed over the years? Because it's important to consider it, right? A lot of people expect discounts, and so this is the time of year for deals. It's also a great way to give away all your profits. And so, yeah, how are you guys approaching this year? How has your promotional strategy changed over the years?
Well, I'm going to, my first comment, now that I'm unmuted, I'm going to reiterate some of the things that Lou has been talking about: inventory.
Yes. Inventory,
because it makes a huge difference to success on Amazon. One of the main things we have seen in our success this year is maintaining steady inventory, because whenever you have stockouts on Amazon, you get dinged and you just fall back down the algorithm. So, a big part of our growth and success this year has been maintaining the inventory of all the products. That leads into what are our holiday plans? We don't really know yet. And the reason we don't really know yet is because we're still a month out and we don't know exactly what our inventory balance is. We know that we're going to have coupons on Amazon. We're going to do discounting on our website. We're going to try to make them a different play so that, if you go to Amazon, you get this product at a good deal. Whereas we've become very specific about categories of products on our website. And then there's also product bundling, which we like to do on both of them. But the product bundling is one of those things we really don't know until we approach and we look at our inventory, because, bundling is oftentimes, well, here's a product that we think is really great, but we haven't been really selling that much of it. So let's make it part of a bundle. Maybe that way we can promote that product going forward. I believe that customers always prefer a free gift than a discount. I also prefer to protect my margin by giving away free gifts, because we are a brand that we want people to become immersed in. So the more more Diamondback products I can get into the customer, the more I know they're going to buy down in the future. So,
I love that. I want to key in on that just really quickly, Connor. I think it's a great point, and we have several apparel brands that do this, especially early in holiday, and some that this is mostly all they do for the holiday is like free gift with purchase, right? And it fits because we need stocking stuffers. We need a gift to give someone else. Maybe I want to buy a tool belt for myself, but if I do this and I get a free gift, now I can be like, I was really shopping for, my son or whatever, like, because I'm going to give him the free gift. Like, there's all kinds of ways to kind of position that and angle that. I remember my buddy Peter that owns Groove Life's silicone wedding ring company for the longest time, and I think they still do it. They mentioned, hey, free gift with purchase. It's a $19 value, a $30 value, or whatever. And all that really means is you're going to get a free ring in your size of a color or something they couldn't sell, right? It's just like, It's inventory that's sitting there. Let's make this a high perceived value. Let's increase our conversion rate for it. For holiday, it's, I'm making you feel an outsized benefit. It maybe feels bigger than a discount, but guess what? I'm not eroding my margin at all. And so love that strategy. I think more brands need to use it.
Yeah. So, we're going to be running coupons on Amazon as we get closer into the season, and we'll have some bundles, but of course we won't really probably start running some inventory reports over the next couple of weeks as we see what's coming inbound, what's been selling well, and then we'll make some decisions about what exactly products we put into bundles, any particular discounts. Because, going back, inventory is so important. You never want to run out of the inventory. So we try to run different promotions between Amazon and our website, just to kind of give different customers a different opportunity.
Hey, Connor, is that sort of based on like the SKUs or the products you see moving on those various channels, or is it based on the products that you have excess inventory on in those channels? Thinking about what products do you discount or feature, what product you bundle? How do you look at that differently on D2C versus Amazon?
Well, let's just take a step back and look at this strategy in general. You can use we have a lot of tools now. We've been talking about tools. You can use tools on your website or on Amazon that say, I know that if a customer buys this pen, they're probably going to buy the top for the pen, and they might buy this bag to put it in. Great. I know that information. I can bundle those things together, and I know that customers are likely to buy all of those things. On the other hand, I know that I got this pen, this top, but I got a lot of these phones lying around. So I'm going to say on my website or on my Amazon page, people who bought this also bought this. No, they didn't. But if I convince you they did, then maybe you will too. So
maybe they didn't, but they should. And so if I bundle it, now people will. Yeah.
So bundling to me is a way that you can make you can help your customer by helping them complete their bundle, but it's also a way that you help yourself as the brand by moving slow inventory, promoting inventory that we've got this great product, but it's not getting in the hands of the customer right. So if we just get more of them out there, it's not a bad product. We just hadn't found the right target audience for it yet. So I don't think our mix there is different on Amazon versus on our website. We do want to see what's selling on that channel.
Yep.
so that we're highlighting that product.
Yep.
But then what we put with it might be based on some mix of those other factors.
Totally makes sense. I want to pause for just a minute and talk. Luba and Jonathan, I know you guys were talking about virtual bundles and some new opportunities there, specifically that we can lean into around the holidays, related to ads. Any points on that? And whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I'll go first, and I'll say that virtual bundles has been probably one of the least utilized tools on Amazon, mainly because you're paying 2 or 3 fulfillment fees for one order. So if you're doing a virtual bundle of product A, product B, and product C, you're going to end up paying 3 FBA fees at the lower price. Connor, you did not know that?
I didn't know that, but I hope that the person who manages my Amazon channels here in my office and there, and the consultants that they use have that conversation regularly.
I love that. I love this. Subtle messages. This is how you lead, folks. This is how you become CEO. The subtle messages. I love it, Connor. Yeah. And with emails after, probably. Yeah. So that's good.
So you have to be careful about putting those bundles together because you do pay more than one fulfillment fee. Also, it only shows up on one of the product pages. So what you want to do, if you want to move that product that you have laying around and doesn't sell, you want to put it on the most traffic page that you have, even if it may not make sense from the product usage decision. But that's how you bring visibility to your slow movers. That's how you create a virtual bundle. But the biggest drawback with virtual bundles always was that they could not be advertised through sponsored product ads. So you could create a ton of them, and the only way to advertise them was through setting up a page store, saying bundles, and driving sponsored brand ads. So, Jonathan, how excited are you about sponsored product ads for bundles?
We have seen some light success out of virtual bundles, but with the addition of putting them in the sponsored product ads, we could see obviously a lot more traffic going to them. As Luba said, there historically hasn't really been a way to push them too hard. They're just kind of existing on the listing page, and it's just like another variation of frequently bought with. It's not that, right? But it is just kind of like, as a shopper perceiving it, historically didn't really ever mean too much to them, unless the discount was pretty large. Did you want the last levers for PPC?
Yes, please. Yeah. Into that, and I'll come back to Connor in a second. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. So in the lead up, obviously, kind of already we're almost done. Get the lead up to next week, but lead up to promos always being considering the performance dip that we usually see 2 to 3 days, sometimes a little bit longer in the lead up to the day of the event. So you want to be just really aware of that PPC performance, and so making adjustments to make sure you're still hitting your targets. Sponsored brand.
Jonathan, any insights there? And this probably depends on how aggressive or how conservative our clients want to be. But do you ever advise, like, hey, don't pull back too much in that lull, because there are people that are looking then. They're looking in the few days leading up to the fall Prime Day, which now I just totally blanked on what it's called, or the Turkey 12 or whatever. And so how much should they pull back, or should they pull back at all?
Right. No, yeah, not necessarily meaning pull back. And I don't think we touched on this yet, but obviously any promotional period, you really have to know what you're trying to build on Amazon, and like, where does your brand fit into the Amazon system? Like with Diamondback tools, right? They have a very diversified product portfolio, and someone who's buying the belt is likely developing a belt system. And so there's many different pieces that they're going to buy potentially over the lifetime, especially if they love the brand, which most of our shoppers, we do see they love the brand. They come back and they buy more. But it is, it's not like a $20 supplement that you're consuming every single month. And so the repurchase window is very different. And someone who buys, a whole tool belt system is not likely to buy that exact same system again, at least not for hopefully it lasts for 5-10 years. I don't know how long it typically lasts, but that's going to last a long time. So thinking about the event in that sense, that they're not, Diamondback isn't building subscribers, right? So we do want to be moderately aggressive for the promotional periods with this kind of brand building product line. But because we're not building subscribers, because we have a longer repurchase window, right? We're not going to be hyper aggressive. If you're a consumable product and you know that if somebody likes your product, they're going to be back in 30 days, or you're going to get a subscription out of it, you can afford to be a lot more aggressive. So thinking all of that,
maybe even go break even or close to it in a situation like that, where in other scenarios that would be silly. You're not making money giving it all to Bezos. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So all that to say, in the lead up, it's not necessarily that you need to pull back. It's just you need to be a bit more hyper aware that you could see sharp fluctuations in those couple of days in the lead up to the event, and then even the days right after the event, where your usual parameters for bid adjustments, and if you have bid up and down, or you have some kind of software running your bids, just knowing that it can be a little bit helter-skelter in those couple of days. So you might shoot your tacos from a 5% up to a 15% for those couple of days. So you want to go in and make some changes. You don't want to blow up your efficiency just for the sake of that additional awareness, because there's a lot of window shopping that's happening in those couple of days. During the event, you still, again, kind of have to know how aggressive you're trying to be. And so just, we check in at least every hour, from 9 a.m. Eastern till about 8 p.m. Eastern, which those are kind of that's when it picks up and that's when it falls off. And then of course, if you have a lightning deal, you really got to be on top of that. But during that time, tacos is a bit better. So that's spend divided by total sales is a bit better of a true North Star than ACOS. ACOS is still very important. If your target is 15 and you're seeing the ACOS coming in at 300%, it's probably some adjustments you need to be making. But there's a lot of lag, because that, hourly data updates that Amazon gives us is, there's going to be a ton of sales attribution lag. So the ACOS is a little bit less relevant. It might be showing, if your target's 25, you might be at 50, and that'll lag down to probably closer to 30 after the event. And that might be okay for during the event, right? But that tacos number is still very important to be paying attention to, because there's not going to be too much clawback to the total sales. And then as we get outside of the event, we already hit on this a little bit, but remarketing, using display ads to remarket, especially if you are a consumable repurchase brand product. So you can use that to time kind of when you're remarketing. Did they purchase 30 days ago during that event? Okay, now it's time to remarket to them with display ads.
Yep, really, really great. So we're gonna talk about a couple of those bonuses, and then how we can help you as well if you need additional help for the holidays. But final thoughts from you, Connor, on just how you approach couponing and discounting in this time period. Are you going to mostly lean into just coupons on Amazon? Have you ever considered lightning deals and some of those other tools that Amazon has available? Just kind of talk about any final points there.
So margin and profitability. I think we've played around with some of these other tools before, some of the lightning deals and those things, but a big part of where Diamondback is right now in our evolution as a company is establishing the baselines, which sounds kind of sad, I guess, pathetic that we're 9 years in and we're trying to establish baselines, but we've been through a lot, especially with the change in manufacturing. So profit margin, contribution margin from the different channels. Right now, we want to really focus on doing the same thing for a little bit of time and establish a plan. So I think we're going to really lean into coupons this year. It's something we've done in the past, so that we can then look back and say,
simple, effective. Yep.
How are we doing? And that way, when we look at next year, we've got a plan for, last year, this was the margin that we assumed was going to be the sweet spot where we didn't lose too much profit, but we sold more units. And then we can really start to hone in on these things. So, going back to 2017, when I started the business or bought this business, that was the time of revenue. Let's see how fast and how hard we can go and how much.
We'll count profits later. Just grow. We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Guess what?
That top line's got to equal bottom line, right? Eventually. Yeah.
That time has come. And so for us as a company and our stage of evolution is really now establish those baselines, know those numbers so that in the future, we can really start to see, are we being successful? Yep. Hey, we sold a whole bunch on Amazon. Well, so what? Could we have done better? Did we do better last year? Did we give away all of our profitability? So stick with the coupons this year and really focus on establishing a baseline so that we know when we're being successful in years in the future.
Love that. Coupons, establish that baseline, look at virtual bundles, look at how you're doing this. Fantastic. Connor, brilliant insights. Way to weave the brand story through this, man. Really appreciate it. And hey, for everybody out there, go buy a tool belt, man. You know somebody in your life that needs a tool belt. My brother-in-law's a contractor. Unaided by my recommendation, he's like, oh, I'm a Diamondback tool belt fan for sure. Yeah, look at that. Showing off the price. I love it. And so really, really good stuff. Check it out on Amazon. So Connor, thank you so much. Luba, I want to let you kind of wrap up here with a couple of final thoughts on prepping here. And also want to mention, like, if you're looking at this and you feel like, man, I've got the team, I got the plan, I got everything, awesome, crush it. I can't wait to hear about your success. If you're like, well, wait a minute, I would like a Luba and or a Jonathan on my team to help me. There's a short window to do that, but there's a little bit of time. And so we'd love to do kind of some last minute planning and prep to help you crush the holidays. And so you can go to omgcommerce.com, click on Let's Talk. We'll do a strategy session for you, a little prep time for the holidays. But Luba, closing thoughts as we get everybody ready for Q4, closing tips and thoughts.
Closing thoughts. Don't do promotions, coupons, deals, or anything else just for the sake of creating a deal. And then,
just because you feel like you have.
Yes. And then 2 weeks later saying, well, we ran a lightning deal and it didn't work. The reality today on Amazon, without external traffic, without that external push, your deal is not going to perform. That's just cold, hard truth. So if you are running a coupon, at the very, very least, or a deal or any kind of promotion, at the very least, pretty much every brand today has access to creator connections where you can go and set up 10% commission, creator connection campaign. Make sure that you put in word deal, promotion, Black Friday into the title because that's the only searchable field for affiliates. And just have that evergreen. Because you can go in and you can change it. If you have a little bit more time, Levanta helps you to scale it. So the least low effort is creator connection. The higher level is pairing up with Levanta and really growing because Amazon is all about the brand. Just slapping a coupon on doesn't work. Without brand identity, brand equity, and external traffic, Amazon wants your external traffic. Whenever you do Amazon, always ask, what does Amazon want? Average conversion of a consumer when they land on Amazon is close to 70%. That's why Amazon is giving you 10% referral bonus back because they want you to
that external traffic. If you provide it, they will reward you for it. Yes.
So whenever the brand says, I tried a deal last year and it didn't work, well, what did you do outside of putting the deal together and running ads? So that's the last thought.
Protect your margins. Make this a profitable holiday season. In the end, that's all that's going to matter. It's what you get to keep. If you're building a brand or business to one day sell, that's all a future buyer really cares about. They want to see growth and some other things as well. But without profits, you don't have a very strong case. And so the last minute lever I'm going to pull is let's talk about our sponsors. So AMZ Prep, KPOC, Hello Tax, Seller Candy, Levanta, and 3 Colts. Check them out. We'll send out some unique offers from them as well as we send out these resources that Luba has expertly put together. I promise you, you want some more Luba in your Amazon business. And so we'll send out these resources. Thanks once again to Connor Crook, to Luba, to Jonathan. And as we mentioned, if we can be of assistance last minute here, let us know, omgcommerce.com. And with that, we will wrap up. Thanks, everybody, and good luck this holiday season. See everybody.